of my favorite things about cooking for the holidays or even just large groups of people is the chance to work with big, beautiful cuts of meat. So today we're working with a ribeye roast. It's about 4.5 pounds, and there are complicated ways to do this, and then there are really easy ways to do it. I'm gonna show you an easy way, a method that I call the reverse roast. Basically, we start it at a low temperature, let it cook slowly for a while. When it gets around rare, we crank the oven up to get that blast of heat for the caramelization and that beautiful brown crust we want. We're gonna do this with a marinade that is so easy, you're never gonna forget it. It's 5 ingredients, equal amounts of each. So let's put that together. For our marinade, we want a little bit of vinegar to sort of make sure everything sticks to the meat and gets in there and adds a blast of flavor. So we're starting with some Dijon mustard. And that Dijon is gonna act as the glue for the rest of our marinade. It is fresh thyme, minced garlic, and minced shallot. And then I add a little bit of olive oil because I want the olive oil to actually help create that caramelization towards the end. It adds nice flavor, a little bit of fat to the outside, but it also is going to make sure that when I turn the heat up, the olive oil will react to the heat. It'll start to burn a little bit and really cook the meat from the outside. So we're just gonna add that oil in. Give it a little stir. Blended nicely. And the last thing we do before we pop it in the oven is give it a great coating of salt and pepper. But we do get a little bit of that seasoning element from the Dijon. So really, really easy. All right, here we go. Now, when I roast the ribeye, you'll see fat on one side, almost no fat on the other side. I want to roast it fat side up. That'll help baste the meat while it cooks. If you were gonna grill it, you would want to roast it fat side down. That would protect it from the fire. All right. Start right there, get dirty. Both sides, and you'll notice I'm using a wire rack set inside of a sheet pan. I want even airflow. That is key to the roast cooking evenly all around. So if air can flow underneath and around all at the same time, it's gonna cook evenly. It'll be beautiful red from edge to edge. All right. We've got the oven preheated to 225 degrees. That is the perfect temperature. It's not gonna cause any caramelization on the outside, but it is hot enough to sort of help break the fat down a little bit. The meat's gonna get really soft. All the fat inside is gonna start to melt slowly, really create a beautiful texture. So before we go into the oven, nice healthy amount of salt and fresh cracked black pepper. The difference in flavor when you use fresh cracked pepper is phenomenal. So if you have the opportunity, do that. I tend to grind a whole bunch of pepper right before I start holiday cooking, and then I use that whenever I need it. We're going into the oven at 225 degrees, and the key here is having a good meat thermometer. Middle shelf, it's gonna take about 2 hours. 2 hours have passed. Here we are, we're looking for 105 to 110 degrees of internal temperature. And while I'm here, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 425. There we go. The last part of this is letting the roast rest for a little bit so that it doesn't continue to cook. We want it topping out at 110 while we let the oven preheat. 425, it's gonna go back in, it's gonna get that beautiful caramelized color and all that extra flavor that comes from that sear. So this is the roasting part of the reverse roast. And just to help things along, I'm gonna brush it with a whole bunch of melted butter. Gently, because I don't want to rub off the crust that we're building. I still want all that marinade. All right. Now, of course, a little extra salt and pepper. Want to make sure that every stage is seasoned, and that includes the butter that we just brushed over. After about a 15-minute rest, we're going into the oven at 425 degrees for the final stage. This should take about 15 minutes, and we want that beautiful crust, and we want 125 degrees and rising for a perfect medium rare. 15 minutes later, at 425, let's check this baby out. Beautiful brown crust, all that caramelization, toasted garlic, everything I want from a roast at high heat I got in the last 15 minutes. And that is the goal of the reverse roast. We're gonna let it rest another 15 minutes, and then we're gonna slice it up. See, we took the stress out of your rib roast and hopefully some of the stress out of your holiday season. From everyone here at ButcherBox, happy holidays.